I would assume closer to registration time. I checked when we talked.
Right.
We knew that.
So July the 7th?
Is, yeah, July 7th through the,
12th?
yes.
What is that?
The,
This is first,
Something was named after the small town summit, the 27th. Got 7 in it. Yeah.
27th through the 30th. And small town is 26.
Right. But going, it doesn't get you into the
No, but I've been,
separate registration.
but it gets you into hotels.
So,
Yeah, so I'll put all your hotel at the same time.
okay.
so the 26th, I have here,
For the small town summit.
that's on the 26th,
Mm-hmm.
so I gotta be here the 25th. I got the wrong date. Okay. I don't wanna screw up into something else here. Okay, thanks.
You want me to send you a calendar?
I got it on my calendar, I just need to, I just need to put it there so I don't schedule anything else on top of it.
Are you one of the presenters for the small town summit?
Not that I know it. If I am, no one is
I'm
sitting
surprised.
anything to it.
I'm surprised.
You've always.
Okay, so I have 7 o'clock. Time to, you ready?
Mr. Rich?
Here.
Dr. Houghton?
Yep.
Mr. Barker? Mr. Ellis?
Here.
Mr. Brooms? Mr. Farley?
Here.
Mayor Goodwin?
Here.
You have a quorum.
And we need to note that, doctor, excuse me, Mr. Grooms is on vacation, so that's why he's not here.
And Mr. Barker's out of town. on
And,
business.
yeah, he's on a business trip. 2 travelers. So we have no staff reports, we'll talk about it in a minute. Any citizen comments on resolution 2823? All right,
Ellis?
Yes.
wait a minute.
Oh, sorry. Oh, we need a motion.
Okay.
Oh, we haven't,
Yeah, sorry.
yeah. Well, I need to read it first and then
Yeah,
get a
sorry.
motion. I know you're in a hurry, but just hang on a second, just 1 second.
Second Aaron's motion.
Hey, I thought he was gonna go ahead and vote on it. If we could do that, that'll work for me. So resolution 2823, a resolution by Folly Beach City Council awarding the initial contract setup and implementation cost for public safety computer aided dispatch, CAD, as you know it, and records management system, the RMS system, to Executive Information Systems, formerly known, or hereafter known as EIS, for $128,236 to be paid from unrestricted general funds in in fiscal year 23 budget. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Now, any discussion, question?
I have a couple questions. I mean, I know we need to do this, but, so the money's coming from unrestricted general funds from this current year's budget. So we won't be able to write that check until the 1st of July?
No, this year, 23, not 24.
Right, but this year doesn't expire until,
But you already know how much.
so
you
we
got
already know,
understood.
okay. So do we also put in for the annual cost of $33,000, does this cover the first year?
Next year, but
Which we have to put that in this budget that we're working on now. So we have to find a place for that in there.
Oh, that's in these amended
Is that-
pages that y'all have tonight, and we'll walk through each one of them amended, but the increased annual cost partially offset by some things that were already in there for annual costs for the other one, is in here.
Okay.
any other questions?
I mean, I think I know the answer, but I'm assuming this is the best deal around. We've had problems with that contractor for a while. In fact, they're just dropping us. Charleston County has a good, spoke to Mr. Farley earlier about this. He said from his experience, usually they would sell their business and we would be absorbed by somebody else. Do you think this company that we're going to would be under that realm? Or are we gonna get left high and dry again?
So the company that we're choosing is a company EIS that's currently being utilized by Charleston County Sheriff's Department and Mount Pleasant, at least here locally. And one of the main reasons why is the CAD system is gonna be provided by Charleston County, a company called Tritech, that all agencies in Charleston County that are under consolidated dispatch use. And they're providing that under the premise. I met with their executive director and deputy director maybe 2 weeks ago now, I guess, or a week and a half ago. And the argument was made basically that our citizens and visitors, when they pay their phone bills, they pay a 911 fee and a couple other fees that go toward paying for the 911 center. So as a result, they're gonna provide the CAD aspect of this system under those costs, so it's not gonna cost us anything, which saves us about $150,000. EIS already works with that vendor for, again, the Sheriff's Department and Mount Pleasant, and it's worked for a number of years. So, I think it's just a combination of the fact that it's already working with our current dispatch, works with the new, under that system, it's gonna save us money there. And again, there's 2 major agencies that are using it, and they're willing to, as part of this, I'm sure you saw, but to grab the data out of the system that we've been using since 2018, pull that in, because we need that legacy data. So that way it just doesn't go poof. It just financially, it's by far the most, makes the most sense.
Are we looking at any sort of like downtime for switchover or any kind of complications, like down service for residents or 911 calls or anything? Are we gonna be down at all when we change over?
So, no, right now, the way our CAD system works is we have kind of a redundant CAD with Charleston County. We have 2 of their CAD stations in our dispatch that we use for dispatching medical calls. And basically, we'll just transition to that system full-time. And then by the time the EIS, which is the records management, where your criminal case reports is ready, then basically it's flipping a switch, and then that CAD will start dumping into that records management system. They're kind of a symbiotic mesh. They're 2 separate softwares, but they're symbiotic. So the plan is to try to get this done now, tonight, right? Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that's happening behind the scenes, getting things ready, because as I'm sure Mr. Farley can tell you, this is normally a year-long process. It's condensed into 2 months.
Yeah.
So the plan is to try to get this done, so we have that, like you're saying, like a good overlap, so that way we can kind of work through the last minute bugs, so there's no drop in, service.
Right. Are we expecting this to raise anything else, like with VC3, since we contract out our IT? Is this gonna raise that contract or take us to a new level or a different level of service with that, or just completely separate?
So the cost that you see in front of you, as well as the ongoing cost, will cover that. So VC3 really shouldn't have, like, if I have a problem with either one of these systems, I'm gonna be calling those system providers, not VC3.
Gotcha. Cool.
Will you be able to look at each other's data?
So there's kind of like a phase 2, there's no cost involved, but a separate phase of this is getting an IAG with County and Mount Pleasant that will allow us to share what they call like the master name file. And so for those of you that may not be familiar with that, that is basically where we won't necessarily see each other's reports that we complete, but if someone has problems with county in their jurisdiction or Mount Pleasant in their jurisdiction, we'll be able to share that name and vehicle information, which is a help.
Right now, you use Leads Online for that.
So, yeah, we use 2 systems. We have Leads Online as well as Clear, which is another system we can use, and then just your standard NCIC III or criminal history reports to share that information. It's kind of how it happens now.
South Carolina doesn't have a system that overlays everybody.
Yeah, I mean, they do, and that's all kind of in that umbrella. I mean, yeah, South Carolina doesn't have one single system. It's a little bit different than some other states. It's kind of like a handful of systems that you have to just,
Okay.
yeah.
So, for the record and for the folks that might be listening and don't know, IAG is an intergovernmental agreement.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments? Mr. Pope?
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Farley. Yes. Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
passes.
Okay. Okay, so that concludes this meeting. I have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
You got a 5-minute break for Wes to get everything